So we're going to build this up slowly. In Arabic grammar, there is a concept of what we call sun and moon letters, and they're divided into 14 and 14, and we've got a table here showing us which letters are classed as sun letters and which are classed as moon letters. So we need to know what is the significance of this, and this is related to the definite article and how you use it. So terminology: sun letters in Arabic, they're known as al-harufush shamsiya. Okay, and the word shams is sun. Okay, huruf here means letters. And then we've got the moon letters, they're known as al-haruful qamariya. Okay, and the moon again is qamar in Arabic. Okay, so break it down into the sun and moon letters. And we'll see later on the rule that we're looking for is actually built into these actual words as examples. Okay, so now we get into why we need to know these sun and moon letters. So I'm just going to read this. We're going to ask ourselves a question, okay, and this is again for the noun. Is the first letter in the word, and in our case we're really talking about nouns, a sun or moon letter? And in the brackets I've got without the definite article, i.e. if you look at a word without the definite article added to it, is the first letter a sun or moon letter? Okay, now if it is a sun letter, we're going to add a shadda when we put on the definite article. So let's explain with this simple example. Again, we've highlighted things in red. So we have a noun. So this is shamsun, or if you just read it as a normal word, you'll just say shams. So that's the sun. Now, the first letter, the sheen, is classed as a sun letter. We then go to change the indefinite noun into a definite noun. So we add the definite article al, so which is the Hamzatul Wasl and lam. So then you say, okay, the first letter, the sheen, is a sun letter. So what we're going to do when we add or prefix the word with the definite article al, we're going to add a shadda on the sheen. Okay, so shamsun becomes effectively ash-shamsu. Okay, and this is important because we need to know how we read them. And effectively, the shaddad letter, i.e. the letter with the shadda, will always be joined to a previous sound. Okay, so if we were to read the definite article as al normally, what will happen here, and you'll notice in your script that when the shadda is added to the sun letter, they will not put a sukoon on top of the lam of the definite article. And the reason is we're joining effectively the fatha that would normally be read on top of the Hamzatul Wasl directly to the letter with shadda. So instead of saying al-shamsu, we will have to read this as ash-shamsu. Now, let's contrast this or compare it, whichever way you want to look at it as, to a moon letter. So we do the same thing again. And the rule is, if the first word is one of the moon letters, we do not add a shadda to it when we prefix the word with the definite article. So here we've got the word qamara. Sorry, we've got the word qamar. Okay, and the full with the grammar would be qamarun. Okay, so indefinite noun. Prefix it with the definite article, it becomes al-qamaru. Okay, so we've dropped one of the dhamma. So again, you look at the first letter, it's one of the moon letters. When we add the definite article al, we do not put a shadda on the letter. In this case, the letter is qaf. So in that case, the al is actually read as al, and you've got a sukoon will be put on top of the lam. And we've done the sukoon here in computer font, which is the round circle. So this will be read as al-qamaru. Okay, so you can see the difference now. The simple rule is when you're adding the definite article onto an indefinite noun, i.e. to make it definite, look at the first letter. If it's a sun letter, we add a shadda. If it's a moon letter, we do not. And then when you read the al, if it's a sun letter, you effectively assimilate that or join it with the letter with shadda, and if it's a moon letter, you effectively read the al as al. Okay, so we're going to look at a few examples to sort of build on this. And remember, if you just remember these two words, shams and qamar, then effectively you've got the two words that you need to remember for this particular rule. And that's why they're called the sun and moon letters, because it's a simple example to remember. Okay, so actually pronouncing the definite article, I've already gone over this, but we're going to do this in detail just to sort of reiterate it. So if you have no sound before the definite article, so what we mean by that, let's take both the moon and sun letters. So again, I've got the top examples are Uthmani script, the bottom ones are Majidi. Now let's take the first one under the moon letters. So this is Alhamdu. Now what we're saying here is there's no sound beforehand, i.e. we're starting, let's say, at the beginning of a sentence. So you've got the Hamzatul Wasl and the lam, and we need to start to read this. So now the thing is, what do we read as the sound on top of the Hamzatul Wasl? Because itself does not have a sound. So the rule is, with a definite article, there's no sound before it, you read the Hamzatul Wasl as if it's got a fatha on it. So this will be Al-Hamdu. And notice there is a sukoon on the lam, because the ha here is a moon letter. It's not carrying a shadda. Now down below that, you'll notice what they do in the Majidi script to help you along. So they drop the wasla and they put in a fatha for you. So you can just read it as Alhamdu. So it's easier. You don't need to know all these grammar rules. Now in the case of the sun letters, so here we have a word starting with Ra. So Ra is one of the sun letters. So when we add the definite article al to it, it takes a shadda. Now it's the same rule here. There's no sound before it, beginning of the sentence. So we read the Hamzatul Wasl as if it's got a fatha, but because we've now got the shadda on top of the ra, the shadda has to join to a sound before it. So we're going to effectively completely skip the lam. So we're going to join the fatha, which is going to be on top of the wasla, and join that to the ra. So in this case, and you'll know this word, we'll say al-rah, al-rah. Okay, you cannot say al and then the ra, because the shadda has to join to something. So it's al-rah. And below they've got the same word. Now this is Majidi again. Now they haven't drawn the wasla, and actually in this case they have not even put in a fatha for you. The reason for that one is, in this case, is I've effectively taken that out of a line of Quran, and there is actually a sound before it, so you'll be joining to the sound before anyway, so they didn't need to put in the fatha for you. Okay, but if you were to see that on its own, all we need to know, there's no sound before it, read the al as if it's got a fatha on the Hamzatul Wasl, and join it to the letter with shadda. Now we'll do the same thing, but this time we'll take an example where there is a sound before the letters, or before the words. So here we have the word again, and this is the word qamar, but we've got we've got the word wa before it. Okay, so we've got the definite article, but before that is wa. So in this case, you now do not read the Hamza